Perfect. Well, I am a Brazilian who barely speaks English, and I am a Zoom newbie. So let's fight with Zoom here. Well, here at MercadoLibre, we manage 50 million requests per second. We have 10,000 deploys per day on average. We are multi-cloud with 3 cloud providers, 26,000 microservices. We reacted very quickly to vulnerabilities like Log4Shell. We went from hundreds of technology employees to 12,000 in just a few years. And so how do we archive this? How do we scale efficiently? Many things can help you grow efficiently. For example, creating a solid executor, building a strong team. But today, we want to highlight one thing for obvious reasons. We will talk about our platform. So have a platform, it's a good answer to these questions. I am Juliano Martins, Senior Manager at MercadoLibre, and I am here with Lucia Brizuela, Senior Director. We are from the Cloud and Platform team at MercadoLibre, the biggest e-commerce and fintech in Latin America. But we are not here to talk about platform definitions, right? However, you can find a lot of documentation on the platformengineering.org website, okay? Why we are here? We are here to share with you why we have created our platform and what we have learned, and show you something that you can use to have some ideas, to inspire you. We don't have a lot of time, so feel free to reach us at Slack or LinkedIn. By the end, we will share our contacts, okay? Fighting with Zoom, okay. Oops, okay. Well, I've shown this graph before, remember? And to understand why we built our platform, it's essential to understand a little bit about our history. So we have a summary here, okay? MercadoLibre was founded in 1999. It was a big monolith written in Java. Hello, Java developers. We have reached over 100 developers, and you know, many people working in the same code base generate problems. Meli, Meli, it's how Nasdaq represents we, okay? Represents MercadoLibre. So when I speak Meli, MercadoLibre, okay. Meli keep growing more and more, okay? Around 2010, something had to be done because we lost time to market. We had constant rollbacks due to some deployments. Some errors has been inserted. It was challenging to debug and find some error, and the coupling between everything was very high. So we started to research microservices and performing migrations. It took a lot of work. We did this migration already oriented to business units, and we are breaking monoliths into other monoliths until we reached an ideal size, and we finally could call them microservices. Very polemic here, no, the size of a microservice. At this moment, we had our private cloud, okay? We used to call Meli Cloud. In this process, we gained a lot of agility. Our time to market was very good. Developers had absolutely freedom. The coupling between components or responsibilities is significantly the Portuguese reduced. However, other problems were generated. The cognitive load increases as the count of microservices increases. And again, we started to slow down. What is cognitive load? A parenthesis here. It's what a person, a developer needs to know in order to put application running, creating flex structure, language, etc., okay? So our governance, compliance, and security has been greatly affected. We have no control whether the developers are applying updates correctly or use it best development practice. Costs, boom, increased a lot. And reacting to some types of problems was very complicated, such as some vulnerabilities affecting many components. Hello, Log4Shell. Different technologies also make the developers onboarding experience not very good. So microservices works great, but we need to organize things. This leads us to the creation of our platform. So 8 years ago, in 2015, Fury was born. I was not here when they created Fury, so why not let Lucia explain now? The first Fury commits have source written by Lucia in Ruby. Lu?
Thanks, Juliano. Yeah, I'm Ruby. Not everybody loves that language, but I love it. But yeah. So in 2015, we start building our internal platform that we call Fury. And Fury helps you manage code, pipeline, infrastructure, data, like basically everything. So we can say that every need that a developer has, Fury gives you a solution for it, right? And having a platform provides a more consistent developer experience. It gives us reusable components, which removes complexity out of the development teams while increasing our time to market. And something very important that it's leverage to push centralized decisions across all Mercado Libre. So it makes it easy to apply wide changes. And we're going to see an example later in this talk. And also, it helps us to remove biases decisions, because sometimes when you're used to use some technology, you want to use it all the time, and maybe it's not the best fit for the problem that you need to solve. So having a platform, having an abstraction of the technology makes you remove biases decision. Now, why exactly we build Fury? And I'm going to make it really simple and straightforward. Because we wanted to, first, save money with cost optimization algorithms. We wanted to gain control with full application governance or microservices governance. And we want to improve our security with automated security controls. So save money, gain control, and improve security. But how we do it? Because it's not easy to change the day-to-day of our developers. You can have people that is open to change, and you can have people that is not open to change. So how we actually did it? So we pay attention to giving the best experience. We apply a little bit of marketing strategy also inside the company. We make sure that the platform is easy to use, is quick to understand. So it's easy for new developers to start using Fury right away. We allow developers to only focus on designing products and not worrying about configuring and maintaining things like maintaining infrastructure, data, code, pipelines, networking, traffic, whatever. It just, you can only focus on designing products, and that's the most important thing, and Fury will take care of the rest. And last, we prove that the most critical microservice could run smooth on the platform. So once we achieved that, it was easy to move all the other workloads to the platform. So we work on building a great platform with great benefits, and also we make sure to change the mindset of developers, because it was really important for us that they choose to use the platform. So if you are considering such a change, or if you think that some of these problems applies to your team, we are happy to talk to you. We love to talk about platform and changing cultures and stuff like that. So make sure to leave a question, or you can reach us later and we can talk more about how to actually make this transaction, because it's not something that happened overnight. You have to really work on it, and you have to have a plan or have to on how to implement a new internal platform in your company.
Okay, we know you want to know more about our platform, but what good is having a Ferrari without a good driver? Talk about team organization is as important as technology. The moment you fall in love with a technology, you lose everything. So in a few minutes, I promise, I will show you how we organize our developers. That is, our Ferrari drivers. Let me present our motto. We distribute teams into products and capabilities. Our platform and the services it provides are presented in the lowest layers. Okay. In this example, right, we have a product related with a credit offering, which use risk scoring capabilities built on top of machine learning functionalities or capabilities, okay? All of this runs on top of our platform using capabilities like computation for the workloads and another ones like object storage, audits, database, and others. With this architecture, the marginal cost of building a new product is much lower. Every time I have to come out with a new product, I take 4 or 5 boxes that already exist. So we are always thinking of breaking blocks and building capabilities, not standalone products. Finally, let's go back to our platform. Behind the curtains, Fury, it's like a set of applications and cloud services. Fury has a web interface, a UI, and a CLI for developers, and a back office for our platform engineers. Some Fury applications provides functionalities related with a platform, such as software management stuff that interacts with GitHub, Jenkins, Docker, etc. Another Fury applications provide a compute service built on top AWS, GCP, etc. And so on. So you can also understand Fury as an abstraction of various services, products, and tools, okay? User applications interact with Fury services using SDK or API. And again, developers interact with Fury using CLI or Fury Web Interface, our UI. To be more clear, I will explain to you based on our user journey. And so Lula will show some videos, some screenshots from Fury, okay? We usually say that at MercadoLibre, user goes from 0 to production in 4 steps, okay? First, using Fury UI, the developer creates an application, selects the language and framework from a subset, and then in a few minutes, he has a scaffold and everything else to start developing the application, like a pipeline, monitoring, security, etc. Second, developer have to create a scope or an auto-scaling group. That means the infrastructure that will run the application. Just by clicking some buttons, okay? Fury will take care of creating this infra, auto-scaling group, resolve traffic routing, VPCs, peering, setup alerting, logs infrastructure, and also provide some suggestions, some opportunities like the best instance flavor for your workload, for example. 30. By opening a pull request, let's suppose that you already developed your solution or a beta version, okay? The pull request will trigger many type of quality gates and create a new application version. validated, and ready to be deployed. Okay. Finally, step 4, developer can deploy the version using various available strategies on any infrastructure scope and see the code running on production or test. See that we can apply some corporate decisions for all of our microservices very easily. For example, we can block deployments that do not meet certain requirements, or making all deploys only in a specific cloud or region, for example, some business decision or some security decision. So based on a brief understanding of these 4 steps, can you imagine what this role process would be like without our platform? You will need to create a repository, create a pipeline, configure monitoring tools, create compute infrastructure, ready to scalability, security, etc., etc., etc. How long would you take? So with a platform, there's no parallel. The level of abstraction through this process is amazing. With a few clicks, the developer solved many problems, and it focused on what mattered most: solve the business problem, create a new product. Well, I really hope that I have shown a little bit the benefits of a platform based on the user journey. And Lu, shall we show how this works with a video and some images? And now I'm sure that in the video, Zoom will hit me.
Yeah, let's see it. Let's see it. So this is a short video about a developer that is creating a new microservice. So it's really simple and fast, as you can see. And we can choose from different types. We can create a web microservices, being an API or a UI, or we can create a native mobile application, or we can create even a machine learning model. So depending the type, Fury will give you different options and different types of services to manage that new microservice. And like I said, a couple of clicks and that's it. You have your new microservices, everything is configured and ready to start. And with the client, you can download the repository and that's it. You're ready to start working. So simple and fast. But let's see another example, because that gives us governance, that gives us a great developer experience. But what happens with centralized decision that we as a company want to make sure that everybody is aware? For example, in the next slide, we can see a summary of our microservices, and we can see how much this microservice is spending. Yeah. So as a company, we want to pay more attention to cloud provider cost, something that is very relevant in current times, actually, right now, that is cost and budget. And for example, in this case, if we are seeing that makes sense and that your expenses are correct, you will see like the happy face. Of course, you will not see a happy face. You will see like a number in green, a green number. But in here, we will show you a happy face. And if we think that something is a little bit off course, or that we see some opportunities to improvement, you will see the sad face. So that means that you are wasting something. You are wasting infrastructure. And here you can also have an estimate of how much some technology decisions will cost you. For example, the difference between using a MySQL database or using a key value store is really important, because you can only think about uptime and security, but you also have to think about cost. And this estimator will help you make that decision. And next, you can see in the opportunity sections that Fury recommendations to be more efficiency. For example, in this case, based on the CPU usage, Fury detect that changing the instance type will give you benefits. And in most of these cases, these changes are applied automatically. We don't even ask, because Fury has the ability to apply changes without affecting uptime. So we will apply change once per night, like once per day or something like that. Often during the night, but one per day. So Ju, can you tell us more about what we learned?
Sure. Well, we've just introduced yourselves. We tell a little history to explain why we created our platform. We talk about the team's distribution and so a little bit about our platform. During this process, we have already shared some lessons, but we'd like to highlight a few more that might be valuable. It's possible that we need 1 week just to talk about lessons learned, but let's focus on 3 lessons. 1, here we have controlled freedom. This is related to liberty and freedom. It's an eternal trade-off that can cause frustration. Some things the developer cannot choose, and for others, he is free. And it's crucial to find the right measure of what is flexible and what is not, which will impact the adoption of your platform. How to solve this? There's no magic measure that responds and can help every company, right? Typically, this measure hardens over time as your platform evolves. But at the end, developer must understand A4 paper does not limit creativity, but the company requires a good level of compliance. We all, as developers, need to think in the biggest scenario, right? 2, not everything is beautiful. If you have a platform, you have certain things to worry about. You have to invest in support and training. A platform should not be imposed. Users have to accept it well, so support and training are crucial. Here we have support teams that handle with tickets, but also we have technical account managers and subject matter experts. They support the developers and help them to better understand the platform and design appropriate solutions. We also invested heavily and created a knowledge management team. They are responsible for bootcamp, training, onboarding for new professionals or veterans. Golden tip that look like obvious that we tend to don't worry about and do not be prepared. Every time when you release a new feature, support requests increase. So be prepared, because user will open a ticket, will try to talk to you, and you will be busy writing, coding your platform. So you need support. 3, your platform will probably not meet all cases, which represents a risk for the company. You must consider how to have an appropriate level of governance in what will be the non-standard. Keep in mind that many problems can happen in the non-standard infrastructure. Never forget that developers are very creative. A good word, no?
Yeah,
And
good.
yes, and politically correct. Okay, developers are very creative. Examples of non-standard cases: sandbox, experimentation, proofs of concept, services not yet available on the platform yet, third-party software, etc. At Meli, everything that is non-standard we call off-theory, and it's created and managed with infrastructure as a code. And so we have a good level of governance, security, drift detection, etc. You will need to think about tools and proxies, because this off-standard word tends to grow and tends to generate risks to the company. So again, we back to the second tip related with training and why not marketing, right? So, Lu, in order to finish, let's give an example on how we reacted very quickly to a problem that many people here, I'm sure, have faced last year.
Yes, so last example, and then we are ready for questions. So we probably all received this beautiful message saying that one of the most critical and massive vulnerabilities of the last few years was found. I don't know if everybody remembers something called Log4j, but we remember it. And so how do we notify 12,000 developers of this vulnerability? And how do we find out in which repositories this library is being used? Remember, we have 20,000 microservices, 20,000 GitHub repositories that could be using this library. So luckily, we can go to Fury pipeline section, and for each pull request, we see which libraries it uses, and if any of them have an incident reported, we will let you know. So Ju, if you show us the next slide, please. So in this case, given the severity, we even block the ability to merge. So we make sure that every developer that runs a CI pipeline is notified about this vulnerability and know how to fix it. But what about the operating system? Because also use this library. Simple. The platform team updates the base image and schedules to deploy the entire fleet. And yes, we are talking about more than, I don't know how many instances do we have. It's like crazy, the number. I think 100, I don't know, too many.
I will search.
100,000 instances. I don't know how to translate it, but we have many, believe me. And so simple as that, we create a new image base or we create a new Docker image, depending on the case, and we schedule to deploy the entire fleet. And everything is executed automatically and in less than 24 hours. So one day after we received these messages, MercadoLibre was completely bulletproof with about this vulnerability. We have updated every repository and we have updated every single operating system. So this is how MercadoLibre basically overcome one of the most critical vulnerabilities in recent years. So let's hope that everybody has a similar experience, but if you are still patching this vulnerability, like I think 75% of companies still are vulnerable to this vulnerability. So we need to talk about giving you a platform. So yeah, you can leave us a question. And Shu, how do we end?
Sorry, Lu. No, sorry, I don't understand your question. Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. I was saying, how do we end this talk?
Okay, well, we end starting with the questions, no? But just to finish, one night to react to a vulnerability very quickly, and very abstracting the work from the developers. I know a lot of developers here, a lot of friends that are still working on this because they do not have a minimal governance. So it's a quick example how a platform can sum to you. That's it. We'd like to submit a talk to platform.com, some event that we will be having. So also, please take the opportunity to ask in the chat some ideas, suggestions of things that we can explore more. For example, I would like to know more your CI/CD process, and maybe we can submit a talk. That's it. Thank you, Maria.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. I see how many questions we have. Thank you so much for being so honest and engaging. But let's start from the first one. So how do you use infrastructure as code? Is the infrastructure coded in the team's repositories in any way? Or is the case that Fury knows stores and is responsible for everything? Who wants to take this one?
Ju, do you want to answer this one?
Well, I'm not very secure about this, but talking about the off-Fury stuff, yes, we do store in the user repository. But for the user, for Fury, just to explain, Fury, it's a monster in terms of size. We have several, yes, a good monster. We have several teams working on several parts of Fury. And we have the teams that handle with code from Javi Cardoso. And probably next session, Javi can join us and help with this. But not sure if Lula can answer this also, but I'm not sure.
No, yeah, I mean, like when you are out of the standard, we also want to, as a platform team, we want to give you some type of solution. So you are not on your own. For example, we will give you a new cloud provider account. It could be AWS or it could be GCP for us. And we will give you a GitHub repository, and we will give you a pipeline set up for a Terraform script, for example. But yes, you are responsible for writing that Terraform and executing that Terraform. But we will give you a kind of pipeline and governance over it, but it's not the same experience as we saw in this video, where you just only use a UI and you don't even know that you are creating a GitHub repository. So it's a completely different experience, but of course we have like 20% of our use case, like 80-20. So 20% of our use case will probably not fit the standard. And if you see that there is some patterns that we detect in the off-Fury wall, we will create a new service in Fury, and then we will move everything from one part to the other one. So yeah.
Oh yeah, good. The way that Fury works, it's completely abstracted. So, for example, if you take a look in some platform that exists in the market, they let the user handle with the Terraform or some configuration like Humanitech handles with Score, that it's very interesting. And Fury have some level of abstraction different. User will not handle with these files. User will click and create the stuff that the user need, right?
Okay.
Amazing. Let's move forward to another one. What criteria did you use to decide to build internally versus buy?
Oh, well, remember that it was 2015, so 2050. So there were not so many platforms to choose. Like actually the term platform engineer is new. I think it has less than 2 years. So like it was not a decision because there were not so many platforms to buy. So we have to build internally. And with time, we make sure to look at the market and see if there is something that is better than Fury, or there is some part that we can replace and with an external tool. So we have made change during this past year, and we have replaced some components on some part of modules of Fury that we have built, and we have replaced it for something on the market. But overall, Fury is like a one good monster, like Juliano say, that kind of joins different things and different providers and different tools. So that's something that we don't see as often in the market. So
yes. I was hoping I can ask the next question in my broken Spanish. It's but Guilherme also asked in English, so I'll just continue. Will you open? Do you plan to open the tool in open source?
Oh, we are not sure about open source, but we realize that we have a good thing going on that we don't share. So we are starting to talk more about the platform, and we're starting to show it more and to see what makes sense to be open source and what doesn't, because it's too MercadoLibre. And we are also starting to see that we can separate the platform in different parts, and there are parts that probably apply to everyone. So we are in this journey about how to open Fury to the world. We are not sure if it's going to be open source or some also other form. We are not sure about it, but it will be great to hear about you and your use case. Sometimes people contact us and explain the situation that they have, and that's something that helps us to understand if Fury could bring value to other companies.
Yes, totally. How many programming languages does Fury support?
I don't know from the top of my mind, but I am opening Fury console here, and maybe I can answer this.
At least 5 or 6, I think. Yeah. Because we use different tools for different problems. So we use Java and Go for APIs or backends mostly. Then we use Python for machine learning or data science. And we use Node.js and some internal framework that we have for UI. And then we have Swift, Kotlin, I think, for native. And so I was not counting. I think that's more than 5. But yeah, Fury can support a new language like with an low effort.
Yeah. I saw 10 here in the drop down.
10,
but
okay.
Yes, but just wondering, today the most used language for web services, it's Golang, all over Meli, and for data related applications, it's Python. And generally we have Go, Python, Java, and the first language in quantity, not lines per code, but in quantity of applications. Just wondering.
Nice. It seems that Juliano, you have a fan, Alex. He says, "Hey, Juliano, long time no see." But the question is, have you guys leveraged any other tool for automation like Ansible, Salt, Puppet, or something for EAC, such as Terraform, Pulumi, CloudFormation?
Yes, I have worked with Alexei at IBM a long time ago, a great friend.
Remembers you.
Yeah. Basically, we do not provide to the users another tools. We provide abstractions. So at the end, the user do not know what tool Fury as we're using behind the curtains, right? Because user will always see Fury UI, right? So behind the curtains, today we use Jenkins and some other stuff to perform code coverage stuff, code checking, etc. So user do not have contact directly with the tools.
Yes. How do you manage the day-to governance? For example, if each repo application has a pipeline, how do you ensure that there are no drifts or shadow snowflakes?
Right. Basically, at Fury again, a drift will not happen because the user will always handling with the infrastructure using Fury. So a user will not touch directly the infra For example, user will not go to AWS or GCP, etc., and create and perform something, right? But for the non-standard world, we have created tools that basically based on user definitions, the terraforms, and data collected from the account, detect drifts. What's very common, how the process works. For example, let's suppose that a user needs some account of Fury to create some machine, because he will need to try some technology that Fury do not provide. So, okay, we give this account to the user. So it's very common that the user starts to work, and after some months, we will expect the account, we find a database, a key value, object storage, etc. And they ask it for one thing. So we need to block. So we wrote some tools to detect this. And also in a quick research in the market, we found several tools open source that can help this. And probably our tools are based on some open source tools.
Guys, we probably need to organize another talk. You have like, I don't know, 20 questions open. Let's move forward to another one. How services would be tied to cloud infrastructure? Would it be possible to choose what kinds of resources are available as of now?
The services, I mean, everything is an abstraction. So we use different cloud provider services. For example, we use Dynamo and we use PubSub in GCP, just to give you two different examples on two different cloud providers. So we will not give you Dynamo or PubSub. We will give you an abstraction, for example, a key value store database, or we will give you a producer consumer type of service. So that's a good thing, because we will give you all the guarantees of that service, but we will be able to change technology, or we will be able to upgrade technology without changing the code. So you are the one, as a developer, you are responsible for the architectonical decision that you made, and you are aware of the difference between the different services and the guarantees that they give you. But you don't have to worry about setting backups and setting networking configuration and setting EAM permissions and stuff like that. So that's like the best of two worlds, when you are responsible to make decisions and you are happy with it, but you can like rely on all that stuff, on all that operating stuff to Fury. So we have like more than 20 services. I don't know if I can name it all, but yeah, every kind of problem that you can imagine as a developer that you have, Fury probably has a service for it.
Amazing. Raul, I agree with you, very interesting. And he's asking, which technologies mainly do you use to deploy on cloud?
So we have Kubernetes. We mostly use Docker in different type of settings. We have Kubernetes and we have EC2 instance, for example, depending on the use case. And we use our own orchestrator to deploy, but we use primitives, right? Like I say, we use Docker and I think that's it. There is like the magic there is that we join things. For example, our deployment process is telling the Kubernetes cluster to operate something, but it's in the business metric. I'm making sure that if something changed in the metric side or in the business side, it will correlate it with the infrastructure change, and it will know the developer that something is happening. So that's the magic of our platform. We don't want to replace or build every single thing. Like we use cloud providers, we use like providers in general. We don't build everything, but we join different parts and we give intelligence to the conversation that different parts have. So that's the magic of our deployment process, not so much how do we change a Docker image in production, for example.
Yeah, very good explanation. You use what you have and just connect to make the magic happen. How long did it take to get to its current state?
8 years.
Yeah, and counting.
Yes.
More to come. I see like a really good following question. What's the next big step for Fury or for Mercado Libre more broadly in terms of new technology being developed or adopted, thinking perhaps 5 years ahead? And what's the big trend that you see for platforms overall?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the big next thing is the native world. Today you can create libraries, and we build our Mercado Pago application, for example. But there are so many steps there manually, and there are so many things that are happening outside our scope. For example, you have to talk with different stores, Play Store or Google Store or whatever, and you need to have different quality controls when you build native than when you build something web, right? So we are in a journey to have a more mature experience for our native developers. I think that's one of the big things that's going on, and 5 years is too long. We don't think so far ahead because things change so fast that I think we only have plans for 2 years, and then we are improvising. Like 5 years is a lot. I don't know what's going to happen regarding technology so far. And the other thing that we're thinking with Juliano, actually, Juliano is responsible for this, is that we don't like the concept of Fury. We don't like to have like a word and a different completely word. I think that's not a good idea because developers tend to separate that, and probably your API that is in Fury is using your infrastructure that you choose, or your third-party whatever software that you have in all Fury world. And we need to see it like one thing, because if one of them has a problem, the end user has a problem, and we don't care if it's in Fury or it's not in Fury. So we need to evolve our solution for infrastructure as code, and we need to make sure to see it as possible as the Fury experience as we can. I think that's also a big challenge for this year. But not 5, just this year, Juliano, okay? By December.
Yes. You saw my boss demanding my work live, real time.
We can say you're very tough, Lucia. But I see the number of questions growing, guys. So I just wanted to share this platform engineering Slack channel. Juliano is there. Lucia, I didn't see you there, so I hope
I'm going to be there. Yeah.
So you can hit them over the Slack channel if you don't want to like stay up super late, since we are closing almost 1 hour already. But since we still have like 10 minutes, let's move forward with the next questions. So what were your early learnings? Where did you try and failed?
Well, one thing that failure is like a strong word, but we, like I said, 8 years ago, there was like a few things, like Docker was in beta. Like you imagine that we start using Docker, and it wasn't even ready for production. So it's a really, really early stage of cloud providers, and Amazon or AWS didn't have like, I think it only have like 2 or 3 different services, and now it has like 100 services. So 8 years ago was a completely different world, and we start building everything from scratch. And a few years ago, we realized that thing that I already said, that is, we don't have to build everything. We have to use what's best, what's already there, what the community is creating, and we have to build on top of that. So that's one of the big mindsets that we have during this past 8 years, because in the past, it was a good decision because it was a necessity to build everything from scratch. Now it doesn't make sense. So that's one of the biggest thing that we changed. And then I was just talking about this before this talk. It's like when we started, we were like 10 DevOps building a platform and building a UI. And it was, for me, it was beautiful, but from a UX designer, it was like horrendous. So we also learned to bring professionals that they are specialists in different things to help us build this big platform, because we have 12,000 users, 12,000 clients. So it's a big thing. So one, we bring from front-enders, a UX designer, tech writers, and like a bunch of different professionals. It really helped us to step and have a more mature platform. So I don't know, Ju, if you have any other example.
Well, sometimes we underestimate the the user in terms of capabilities or requirements that they really need, and things has been created based on our experience as developers, people who are building a platform and not people who are building a product. And so we learn to listen more the user, and we learn to think more in our platform as a product that will be used by different kind of users with different views, different cultures overall, Latin America. And what is good to me as a platform engineer, it's not good to a final user that will build some product. So I saw at our Slack platform engineering, a lot of people also talking, think in your platform as a product. So in the moment that we learned this some years ago, I saw the evolution of our platform just increase in now terms, quality, usability, etc., etc. So this was a lesson learned, and we really want to share with you. Think in your platform as a product, not just some nerd stuff.
Yeah, that's a great statement. I see this conversation going. That would be amazing to have the remaining questions answered in Slack. Would you guys be okay with that, or do you want to? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
then
perfect.
Let me take one more question, because I need at least 1 minute to transfer all the questions into Slack. If you don't mind, let me read out the last one, and everything else I'll just transfer over there. Here you go. How you guys organize product teams? How does the architecture support that, especially when you started split into microservices?
Yeah, that was, yeah. I think that Fury doesn't have an opinion about that. That's more like a software architect decision. So we, as a platform team, we're ready to support different type of criteria that you can use. And the teams are the one responsible to understanding if they want to add a functionality to an existing microservices, or if they want to create a new one. So, of course, there are teams in MercadoLibre that help you with that decision, and we have a really strong technical path. So we have people with a lot of experience with technical roles, not just management roles, that helps to make that kind of decision. But regarding the platform, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, it's like a product decision, and Fury is ready to support every type of like microservices criteria that you want to use. So maybe we can answer you that question from the developer side as a point of view, but regarding the platform point of view, it doesn't matter. We are ready for it, whatever you choose.
Great. I need 1 more minute since there are too many
You're
questions.
copying things to Slack.
Yes, I am. Let me check. Just let me get one more question from blah, blah, blah. Does the platform optimize for cost across clouds, move workloads based on business rules, or does the developer just choose AWS, GCP, and it stays there?
Oh, great question. Actually, the developer doesn't choose the provider because it's the same for them. They just want to run a cluster of instances and they want their port being open and that's it. So that's one actually of the recommendations that Fury will give you. Sometimes it's like cheaper to run on one cloud provider or in another one. And sometimes depending of other services that you use, the communication between them could be cheaper if you are in one cloud provider or if you are in another one. So that's one of the recommendations that Fury will do and will apply automatically without even asking you, because it's the same for us. Traffic will receive in the same way. You will see the same metrics. You will see the same behavior. That's one of the reasons why we save money, because we change between cloud providers, for example.
Yes, this is the one of the hardest parts to be written in the platform, because look like easy, just consider the costs, but we have to consider affinity. For example, many companies have deals with the cloud providers. For example, we do have reserved instances that you need to use, so you need to code this. We have a spot instance that we need to use and keep monitoring, because we cannot lose some machine and became offline, so you need to start up another instance before you lose your spot instance. So we can talk about this for 2 or 3 hours for sure.
There you go. You have your suggestion for the next talk.
Yes.
How do you manage to choose between different cloud providers?
Yeah, that's a different conversation. But we are on time. I'm sure that everyone has to move forward to another meeting. It's already 6 p.m. for Lucia, right? Pretty late, ready to head off from the working day. Thank you so much, guys. It was an amazing talk, and you probably felt it yourself from this many questions. I copied everything into our Slack right below your live stream. And guys, attendees, if you have any other questions, Juliano and Lucia are on Slack, so you can hit them over there. And we'll share the recording and the slides tomorrow as a follow-up. Thank you all. It has been amazing, and see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.